hate on Meghan Markle needs to be studied as an actual human experiment, because I finally caught up with Love from Meghan on Netflix. I did this purely out of a human study basis so I could see what everyone was talking about, and in general, you're haters. There are plenty of villains in this world that you can project all of that hate and energy towards, but Meghan, I don't think she's up there. I don't think she's up there. I'm going to have to disagree with half of the population here, because what are you talking about? It just reminds me of the Barbie movie with that really beautiful scene that touched so many women. And I feel like this is really relevant here. When she married Harry and was trying to be royal, everyone referred to her past as this trashy American actress who would basically not have enough class to be royal. Now she's doing something really fitting. She's back on the TV with her own show and back to acting. But now she's giving it Nara Smith in the kitchen. You want to say she's unrelatable? She's the most unrelatable person ever. Well, yes. Most actors are unrelatable to the general public. Not everything that sells has to be relatable to you. I actually like people that are not relatable to me to give me a bigger perspective. Never being enough as a woman is a universal experience. It doesn't matter how much wealth you have in the bank. It is a relatable experience. And trust me, if I had the money and the resources, I would have my own fucking beehive too. And I would be packing my kids' lunchboxes with fucking flower petals. It's not pretentious to eat whole foods. It's not pretentious to be more sustainable. That's not what it is. And then she did the Labour dance because you wanted relatable, so she gave you relatable. And then every fucking woman over 40 went mental and called her a slut, essentially, in some words. But overall, from a spiritual perspective, they are cycle breakers. That is what a cycle breaker is. You're outcasts, you're black sheep, you have smear campaigns against you, and you leave. You break the cycle, you do something new. And it's hard. That is what a cycle breaker is. So they're actually probably walking a more divine path than most people. Being royal doesn't separate you from the cycles of life. So of course they have their own family dynamic, their own contracts, their own cycles to break. And they probably needed their shit shaken, actually. Probably a long time coming. And Harry was the chosen one. And at this point, if you have a hard-on for the royal family, and that's the reason you don't like Meghan, because you feel like she led him astray, get a brain scan, because that's not normal behaviour. Like, that's bizarre.
Lately, I've noticed something remarkable shifting in the cultural landscape here in Britain. More and more white British women are publicly voicing their support for Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. It's as if a quiet rebellion is brewing against the relentless barrage of negativity that's been hurled her way since she entered the royal fold. I keep seeing it in conversations, in media appearances, and even in formal declarations from influential figures. This isn't some fleeting trend. It's a growing chorus that suggests the vicious hate campaigns orchestrated by the tabloids and subtly endorsed by the British monarchy haven't poisoned everyone's minds. In fact, they're backfiring spectacularly on those who thought they could control the narrative. For years, the establishment, that archaic self-serving institution known as the British monarchy, propped up by its loyal puppets in the tabloid press, has waged a calculated war on Meghan's character. They've painted her as everything from a diva to a manipulator, all while conveniently ignoring the systemic biases at play. The tabloids, those sensationalist rags like the Daily Mail and The Sun, have been the monarchy's attack dogs, churning out headlines laced with misogyny and thinly veiled racism. Remember the endless scrutiny over her every move, from how she cradled her bump during pregnancy to her choice of outfits. It was never about journalism. It was about character assassination, designed to isolate her and protect the royal family's pristine, outdated image. And let's not pretend the monarchy itself is innocent. Their silence in the face of this onslaught speaks volumes. A tacit approval from an institution that's historically thrived on suppressing anyone who dares to challenge its rigid hierarchies. But here's the thing. Not everyone bought into the smear machine. Despite the establishment's best efforts, a segment of the population, particularly white British women, is waking up to the injustice. Take, for instance, the powerful open letter signed by 72 female members of Parliament back in 2019. These women, from across party lines, stood in solidarity with Meghan amid her legal battles against the tabloids. Led by Holly Lynch of the Labour Party, the letter condemned the distasteful and misleading nature of the stories printed about her, highlighting how they invaded her privacy and carried outdated colonial undertones. It was a bold statement from women in positions of power, acknowledging that the media's treatment wasn't just unfair but rooted in deeper prejudices. These MPs, many of whom are white British women who've navigated their own share of public scrutiny, declared that such abuse cannot be allowed to go unchallenged. Their support wasn't performative, it was a direct rebuke to the establishment's puppets, exposing how the tabloids weaponize outdated tropes to tear down women who don't fit the mold. Fast forward to more recent times, and this support hasn't waned. If anything, it's intensified. In 2025, we've seen figures like Denise Welch, the outspoken Loose Women panelist, repeatedly defend Meghan on high-profile platforms. Just this July, Welch appeared on the American talk show Watch What Happens Live, where she passionately called out the British press for their bullying tactics. She didn't mince words, emphasizing how Meghan has been battered by constant lies and scheming from the media. Welch, a white British woman with decades in the entertainment industry, has made it her mission to highlight the hypocrisy. Why is Meghan vilified for speaking about her mental health struggles when others are praised for vulnerability? Her rants have left hosts speechless and sparked debates. But more importantly, they've resonated with everyday women who see parallels in their own lives. Welch's defense isn't isolated. It's part of a broader pattern where white British women are stepping up, recognizing that the establishment's attacks on Meghan are attacks on all women who dare to be independent. Why is this happening now? I believe it's because the cracks in the establishment's facade are becoming impossible to ignore. Prince Harry and Meghan are undeniable cycle breakers in a family that's perpetuated cycles of emotional repression, colonial entitlement, and media manipulation for generations. Harry, once the monarchy's golden boy, chose love and integrity over blind loyalty, exposing the toxic underbelly of palace life in his memoir and interviews. Meghan, with her American optimism and biracial heritage, represented a fresh start, a chance for the royals to modernize. Instead, the establishment hated them for it. They hated how Meghan refused to play the submissive role, how she advocated for causes like women's rights and mental health, and how Harry supported her every step. The tabloids, ever the monarchy's mouthpieces, amplified this hatred with fabricated scandals and anonymous sources, all to maintain the status quo. But in doing so, they've overplayed their hand. More white British women are seeing through the propaganda, realizing that if the establishment can destroy someone like Meghan, successful, articulate, and resilient, then no woman is safe from their clutches. This shift isn't just anecdotal. Reports from 2025 indicate a growing sentiment that the hate campaign against Meghan has been unwarranted and manufactured. Polls might still show overall low favorability, around 20% positive views in Britain, but those numbers mask the nuance. Among women, especially those who've experienced workplace bullying or media intrusion, sympathy is building. I've heard white British friends and colleagues express frustration. Why all this vitriol? She's just trying to live her life. It's a recognition that the monarchy's puppets have created a monster of misinformation and people are tired of it. The establishment's attempts to portray Meghan as the villain have instead highlighted their own flaws, an institution clinging to power through division and deceit. Criticizing the establishment isn't easy in a country where the monarchy is woven into the national fabric, but it's long overdue. The British monarchy is a relic, a taxpayer-funded spectacle that prioritizes image over humanity. They've allowed, if not encouraged, the tabloids to hound Meghan relentlessly, from questioning her parenting to amplifying racist dog whistles. And the tabloids? They're nothing more than sensationalist profiteers dancing to the palace's tune for clicks and sales. Their reporting on Meghan has been a masterclass in misogynoir, blending sexism with racial bias to delegitimize her at every turn. Yet as more white British women come forward, it exposes the establishment's desperation. They fear cycle breakers like Harry and Meghan because they threaten the very foundations of privilege and control. By stepping away from royal duties, the couple didn't just escape, they shone a light on the darkness, inspiring others to question why we tolerate such an antiquated system. This growing support among white British women is particularly poignant because it crosses the divides the establishment loves to exploit. These women aren't just defending Meghan, they're challenging the narrative that pits women against each other. In a society where the monarchy and its media allies thrive on divide and conquer, seeing white women stand up against the mistreatment of a woman of color is a powerful act of allyship. It's a rejection of the colonial undertones that still linger in British culture, a call for empathy over enmity. I've seen it in book clubs discussing Harry's spare, in online forums, away from the trolls, and in everyday chats. Women saying, "Enough is enough." The hate campaigns didn't work on everyone because truth has a way of seeping through the cracks. Of course, the establishment won't go down without a fight. Expect more anonymous leaks, more tabloid hit pieces, more attempts to rewrite history. But the tide is turning. Harry and Meghan's resilience as cycle breakers has inspired a movement, one where white British women are key players in dismantling the old guard.